The wrench slipped from my greasy fingers as I heard Marta's voice drift through our kitchen window. "He's completely clueless, Tom. I can't wait until you stay over again next weekend. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories." I froze under the hood of my beat-up Ford, the engine block suddenly feeling like a tombstone. 23 years of marriage, and my wife was planning sleepovers with her work husband like some teenage girl. "Should have taken up interpretive dance instead of marriage," I muttered, wiping my hands on an oil-stained rag. Our neighborhood had that Friday night quiet. Porch lights flickering on, the distant sound of Frank's boxing gym bell echoing from downtown. In a city like ours, everyone knew everyone's business. Except apparently, I'd been the last to know mine. I'd suspected something for months. And Marta's late nights at the ad agency had multiplied. Her phone buzzed constantly with work emergencies. The Uber receipts I'd found showed rides to fancy hotels across town, places we'd never been together. But hearing her laugh about my ignorance, that cut deeper than any suspicion. The next morning, Marta sat at our kitchen table, scrolling through her phone with that satisfied smile I used to love. "You're up early for a Saturday," she said without looking up. "Couldn't sleep? Funny thing about guilty consciences, they're contagious." She finally glanced at me, eyebrow raised. "What's that supposed to mean? Your work husband keeping you busy these days?" Marta's laugh was sharp, dismissive. "Oh, please. You're being way too sensitive about Tom. He's just a colleague. We work closely together on campaigns." I poured coffee, keeping my voice level. "Noted." That simple word seemed to hang in the air. Marta's smile faltered slightly, but she shrugged and returned to her phone. While she showered, I opened her laptop. She'd never bothered changing the password. Our anniversary date, ironically. The messages were all there. Months of flirty texts, explicit photos, detailed plans for their business trips that coincidentally aligned with her overnight absences. I screenshot everything. Every message, every photo, every damning piece of evidence. Then I composed an anonymous email to the ad agency's HR department, attaching the most professional yet devastating screenshots. "Anonymous concerned employee reporting inappropriate workplace relationship affecting team dynamics," I typed. Simple, clean, devastating. That evening, I followed Marta's phone GPS to the Riverside Hotel downtown. Through the lobby window, I watched her and Tom sharing wine, his hand on her thigh, her head thrown back in laughter. Tom was younger, dressed in that expensive casual way that screamed, "I peaked in college, but my dad owns a dealership." Everything about him irritated me. His perfectly styled hair, his BMW keys casually displayed on the table, the way he touched my wife like he owned her. I waited until they went upstairs, then got to work. A small knife to his tire valves. Not slashing, just deflating. I scattered some used condoms from Frank's gym lost and found around his car. Gross, but untraceable. Then I photographed everything, including Tom's license plate and the hotel timestamp. My phone buzzed with a text from Marta. "Working late again? Don't wait up." I replied, "Take your time. Enjoy your work." Sunday passed in tense silence. Marta seemed distracted, checking her phone constantly. Monday morning, she dressed with extra care. Her power suit, the expensive perfume, her confidence armor. "Big meeting today?" I asked. "Just the usual Monday madness," she said, but her voice was tight. 2 hours later, my phone rang. Marta was crying. "They fired me," she sobbed. "HR called me in and said they had evidence of inappropriate workplace conduct. They wouldn't even let me explain." "That's terrible," I said, fighting to keep the satisfaction out of my voice. "What kind of evidence?" "Someone sent them screenshots of private messages. They said it violated company policy about workplace relationships." "Wow. Someone really had it out for you." The silence stretched. When Marta spoke again, her voice was different, suspicious, calculating. "You wouldn't know anything about this, would you, David?" "Me. I barely know how to send a text message, let alone hack into email systems." It wasn't technically a lie. I hadn't hacked anything. By Tuesday, the gossip had spread through the agency like wildfire. Marta's former colleagues were posting cryptic social media updates about karma and office drama. Our daughter Amelia called from college, having heard from friends whose parents worked downtown. "Dad, is it true Mom got fired for sleeping with her boss?" "Tom wasn't her boss, honey, just her work husband." "That's not better, Dad." Wednesday night, I found Tom at Flanagan's, the dive bar near his apartment. He was drunk, loud, bragging to anyone who'd listen about his crazy week and the uptight HR bitches who'd ruined his fun. The husband never even suspected, he slurred to the bartender. Dumb bastard was probably home fixing his car while I was fixing his wife. Frank, my boxing coach, had come with me for backup. He raised an eyebrow as Tom continued his performance. Some men have no pride, Frank said loudly enough for Tom to hear. Tom turned, squinting. You got a problem, old man? I stepped forward. I do, actually. Recognition dawned slowly on Tom's face. Oh, shit. You're the dumb bastard, yeah. I smiled. Nice to finally meet you properly. Tom tried to stand, swayed, and grabbed the bar for support. Look, man, it wasn't personal. Marta and I, we just connected, you know? Sometimes these things happen. They sure do, I agreed, then slapped him. Hard. The bar went silent. Tom's hand flew to his cheek, tears springing to his eyes. Next time I catch you near my house or my wife, you'll be taking the bus to your next job interview, I said calmly, assuming you can find one. Frank and I left Tom crying into his beer. Thursday brought a new development. Marta and Tom tried filing a harassment complaint with the police, claiming I was stalking and threatening them, but I'd been careful. Everything I'd done was technically legal, and I had Frank as a witness to Tom's public behavior at the bar. The officer who took their statement was professionally polite, but clearly unimpressed. So, you're saying your husband found out about your affair and got you fired by reporting it to your company? It wasn't an affair, Marta protested. It was a relationship. With a married woman? Tom shifted uncomfortably. Look, these things are complicated. Not really, the officer said. Sounds like your employer made a business decision based on employee conduct. That's not a police matter. Friday afternoon, Amelia posted a TikTok that went viral in our small city. POV. Your mom gets fired for cheating, and now everyone's talking about your family. The video had 50,000 views by evening. I found Marta crying in our bedroom, scrolling through the comments. The whole city thinks I'm a joke, she whispered. You wanted excitement, I said. You got it. She looked up at me with something like fear. What's happened to you, David? You're not the man I married. Neither are you the woman I married, but here we are. That weekend, I made my moves. I transferred money from our joint accounts to my personal account, money I'd contributed from my maintenance job at the school district. I canceled Marta's phone plan. It was in my name, after all. I sold her car to a dealer across town. Again, technically mine, since I'd co-signed the loan. You can't do this, Marta raged when she discovered the car missing. I can't support an affair, but I can reclaim my property, I replied. Funny how that works. Tom's situation was deteriorating too. I'd anonymously tipped off his landlord about the noise complaints from his drunken weekend parties. When the landlord investigated, he found Tom was 3 months behind on rent. Eviction notice followed. I also created a few fake Facebook profiles and began sharing the story in local gossip groups. Did you hear about the ad agency scandal? The posts wrote themselves, really. Small-town drama was like wildfire. It needed only a spark. But I wasn't done. Something about this whole situation felt incomplete, like I was missing a crucial piece. The answer came when I planted a small voice recorder in Marta's purse. Old-school spy stuff, but effective. What I heard changed everything. Let Tom take all the blame, a woman's voice said. It was Rita, Marta's best friend and the HR director at the agency. I want you desperate and dependent. Then we can finally finish what we started years ago. But what about David? Marta asked. David fired me from his old company when he caught me moving money around. I've been waiting 15 years for payback. Destroying his marriage is just the beginning. And Tom? Tom was always disposable, a useful cover story. No one would suspect two women having an affair, especially when there's an obvious male homewrecker to blame. I sat in my car, listening to the recording again and again. The real betrayal wasn't just adultery. It was a 15-year revenge plot. Rita had orchestrated everything, using Tom as a decoy while she and Marta conducted their real relationship. The embezzlement incident came flooding back. Rita had been skimming from client accounts at my old corporate job. I'd caught her, forced her resignation, but kept it quiet to avoid a scandal. I'd thought I was being merciful. Apparently mercy was weakness. Now I understood the timeline. Rita had gotten hired at Marta's agency 5 years ago. She'd slowly worked her way into Marta's confidence, then into her bed. Tom was recruited as the perfect fall guy, young, arrogant, obvious. While everyone focused on the male homewrecker, the two women could continue their affair in plain sight. It was brilliant, really, and it was about to be their downfall. I spent the next week planning. Rita owned a lakeside cabin outside town. I'd heard Marta mention their girls' weekends there. It was isolated, private, perfect for what I had in mind. I sent a group text to all 3 of them. Time we settled this like adults. Rita's cabin, Saturday night, come alone, or this gets messier. Saturday evening, I arrived early and set up my phone and a GoPro from Frank's gym to record everything. Then I waited. Tom arrived first, nervous and jumpy. Look, man, I don't want any trouble. Maybe we can work something out. Relax, Tom. You're not the real problem here. Marta and Rita came together, which told me everything I needed to know about their current living arrangement. David, what is this about? Marta demanded. It's about truth, I said, holding up my phone with the voice recording ready. Want to hear something interesting? I played Rita's voice. Let Tom take all the blame. I want you desperate and dependent. Tom's face went white. What the hell, Rita? You said this was about getting Marta away from her controlling husband. Shut up, Tom, Rita snapped, but the damage was done. Controlling? I laughed. Tom, you beautiful idiot. You were never the real affair. You were the distraction. I played more of the recording, watching Tom's expression shift from confusion to rage to humiliation. You used me, he said to Rita. You let me think I was stealing another man's wife, but I was just your beard. Tom, please, Marta started, but he was already moving toward me. This is all your fault, Tom lunged, swinging wildly. I sidestepped easily, Frank's boxing lessons paying off. Tom stumbled, and I caught him with a light slap that sent him sprawling onto the cabin's deck. Stay down, Tom. You've embarrassed yourself enough. I turned to Marta and Rita, who were holding hands now, their cover blown. 15 years, Rita? That's dedication to a grudge. You destroyed my career, Rita snarled. You had no right. You were stealing money from clients. I had every right. I held up my phone again. But now I have something better than rights. I have evidence. I opened my live stream app, connecting to Facebook and Instagram simultaneously. Good evening, everyone. David here with a special broadcast about truth, justice, and workplace romance. David, no, Marta pleaded, but I was already talking to the camera. So my wife got fired last week for having an affair with her coworker Tom. Sad story, right? Except it turns out Tom was just the opening act. The real affair was with Rita, the HR director who fired her to make it look legitimate. I turned the camera toward the three of them. Tom was still on the ground, crying. Marta and Rita stood frozen. Rita here has been planning this revenge for 15 years, ever since I caught her embezzling from our old company. She seduced my wife, recruited Tom as a decoy, and orchestrated the whole thing just to hurt me. The viewer count was climbing. 50, 100, 200 people watching live. But here's the beautiful part, I continued, walking toward Rita's convertible BMW. Rita thought she was so clever, but she forgot one thing. I pulled out a can of bright red paint from my gym bag. Karma's a bitch, but revenge is an art form. I poured the paint across Rita's windshield and hood, the red streaming down like blood. David, stop! Marta screamed. And for my final trick, I said to the camera, walking toward Rita's prized garden, a little landscaping. I kicked over her decorative planters, scattered her flower beds, and spray-painted Home Wrecker across her cabin's front door. The live stream had over 500 viewers now, comments pouring in from people I recognized, neighbors, co-workers, people from town. That's what happens when you mess with a working man's family, I told the camera. Thanks for watching, folks. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I ended the stream and pocketed my phone. Rita was sobbing, staring at her destroyed car. Tom had crawled to his feet and was backing toward his own vehicle. Marta just stood there, looking broken. You've lost your mind, she whispered. No, I found my spine. There's a difference. Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called the police. I wasn't worried. Property damage, maybe trespassing, but I had hours of evidence of their conspiracy. Plus, Rita's embezzlement confession was on the recording. Enjoy explaining this to the officers, I said, walking toward my truck. All of it. The summer block party rolled around 3 weeks later, held in the town square like it was every year. Tents, food trucks, live music, raffle prizes, the works. Normally I'd have skipped it. After everything that happened, I wanted nothing more than to sit at home with a cold beer and enjoy my peace. But Frank insisted. Hey, you can't hide, man, he said. If you don't show up, they'll think you're guilty of something. You've already won. Go take the victory lap. So I went. The buzz was unbelievable. My live stream had been shared thousands of times, and apparently half the county had seen it. Everywhere I walked, people gave me nods, clapped me on the shoulder, whispered as I passed. I'd gone from being the quiet husband no one noticed to something of a local legend, the man who'd exposed a tangled affair and an embezzlement scheme without ever laying a hand on anyone. Rita had been fired, her mugshot plastered all over the local news. She was now facing embezzlement charges. Tom had packed his things and vanished overnight, leaving behind nothing but overdue bills. Marta was staying with her sister, out of work and out of allies, trying to find a job in a town where everyone knew her story. When the announcer called for volunteers to kick off the charity auction, I don't know what possessed me, but I raised my hand. A moment later, I was on stage, staring at the microphone. I cleared my throat. "Evening, everyone. David here. I know you've all heard about my recent adventures in marriage counseling." The crowd erupted in laughter. "I want to thank you all for your support," I continued, pacing the small stage like a stand-up comic. "It's heartwarming to know that when a man's wife cheats on him with her female boss while using a male coworker as a decoy in a 15-year revenge plot, the community really comes together." The laughter was louder this time, people clapping, a few whistling. In the back, I caught sight of Marta, her arms crossed, glaring daggers, cheeks burning red. "And let's give a round of applause," I added, "to my wife Marta, for proving that workplace diversity and inclusion can, in fact, go too far." That one brought the house down. Even the mayor doubled over. I spotted Rita near the food trucks, mascara streaking down her face as people pointed and whispered. "And of course, to Tom," I said, raising my glass like a toast. "Probably somewhere in Nevada by now, trying to convince strangers he's a victim. Thanks for being the worst wingman in history." The laughter turned into applause. It wasn't just amusement, it was catharsis. These people had lived with Rita's smugness, Tom's arrogance, Marta's superiority for years. Now they were all watching them get torn down in real time, and they loved it. I let the crowd quiet, then said, "But seriously, folks, I learned something. When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Make a live stream. The internet loves a good revenge story." That was when I saw him. Tom, red-faced, storming out from behind the tents. "You ruined my life, you bastard," he screamed, charging the stage. I stepped aside almost casually, and he tripped straight into the dunk tank that had been set up for the kids' games. The splash was spectacular. The crowd lost it, cheering, clapping, people recording from every angle. I leaned back into the microphone. "And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you handle a home wrecker. Thank you, you've been a wonderful audience." Standing ovation. People whistled, stomped, hollered. Tom flailed in the water, sputtering. Rita was sobbing by her car. Marta had slipped away, unable to take the humiliation. I looked out over the cheering crowd and realized something. They had called me the villain in their story, the cold husband, the bitter man. But here, now, watching my enemies humiliated while 300 neighbors laughed and applauded, it hit me, sometimes the villain gets the best ending, and maybe, just maybe, he deserved it. The end. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching,